Afara everyone, and welcome back to Osahra. It is episode 30, and I'm gonna say it again, it is mighty fun to be back in our fine little nation we are building. I'm gonna say, of course, I am joined with Skibbeth, although we have been away from each other for a little bit of time as of late, but Skib, it is so good to have you back on the channel.
Afara, yeah man, I know what you mean, there are 2 episodes in a row doing the commentary together, so which is a good thing, but yeah, indeed, quite a lot of time being apart.
It's amazing. I mean, I think we were saying before that, you know, like, we are both in completely different countries. I mean, not even neighboring countries. We are ages away from each other, so it is sometimes hard to sync our schedules up because we are so far apart, and we only really ever have one. Well, it is a Monday afternoon for me recording this, and it is a Monday morning for you. So I think it's really really depends when we can squeeze that in. But yeah,
true.
It is good when we finally get in a good commentary together. But yeah, I mean, as promised, I am building in the financial district once again to finish off this build. And for this build, I am just developing the lakeside area of this financial district. Now, when I originally started planning this financial district, I wanted to keep the wealth all the way up to the shoreline. I was thinking I might put in like a marina and a restaurant and all this really nice stuff on the coastline, but I changed my mind when I loaded up the game because I sort of felt like, you know, we have a really nice financial district, we have a lot of wealth being flashed around in this area, but I think a lot of places in the world that I have visited, you know, have really nice flashy areas, but then they seem to abruptly end, and I think the shoreline would be a really good spot for that just to quickly stop. So I wanted to extend that wealth up until this boardwalk, and then I wanted to kind of make the water, the grass leading into the water just a little bit muddier than you'd probably expect for an area around this part, just to sort of keep within that Osahrian look. And I guess like even opposite this financial district, there is a massive harbour with, you know, an industrial port where there is lots of garbage and lots of abandoned, you know, office blocks and, you know, sort of buildings. And so I kind of wanted to keep within that sort of older styled, abandoned look. So that's why we're kind of going with a bit more of a, like a little bit more of a rundown version of a shoreline than you'd probably expect for an area like this. Skip, has that taken you by surprise, or is that something that you sort of expected from an Osahrian build?
Well, it should be something like that. I don't think it is. I was taken by surprise that much, but yeah, it is in Osahrian style with the mud idea and the sunken grass, as you said. It is pretty interesting, and I like the way you put that wooden pathway. Can I call it like that? Or
I'd like the boardwalk.
Yeah, boardwalk. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, it sounds better when you say it like that. So that's a really good idea to add it there between the road and the quay, which is
because I thought it should be nice. Like this is a nice area, so I did want there to be a nice boardwalk that the government have splashed a little bit of cash on. But then right up until that boardwalk, it pretty much just ends, and then we're back with this muddy water, because I guess that we would be experiencing quite a lot of muddiness around this area. We are still in the desert, and all this water is basically churning through lots of desert as it makes its way around Osahra. So I feel like it felt right to have a lot of this sort of a feel around the shoreline around here, rather than going with something really flash like a hotel or something. So, and that was my little change of heart that I'm kind of explaining right now. But I do have a couple of buildings that are close to the waterside just there. I would just imagine there'd be some sort of shop fronts, or there is like a bit of a hotel, and I do add a couple of other little kiosks and stuff like that. And also I do start finishing off the financial district by adding in a couple of other shops around here, and this really, really cool, ugly Soviet building. I'm not sure what era it is, but it's I think it was even described in the description on their workshop as an ugly building. So I think it's but I think it looks awesome. I think it's such a cool building. And I remember, I feel like I'm doing a really bad job here, but I can't remember the name of the person who wrote that sway for us about all the lore of Osahra, but I do remember that person's name. I might have to put up a little bit of a card up there in the corner or something. Do you remember that name?
Yeah, I know what you mean. One of them was, if I remember, Oliver Kundrat or Kundrat.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I'm sorry for forgetting your name. It's just because we jump straight into these things and I didn't even prepare that. But I mean, if you haven't checked it out, there is an amazing history that he has done on a sway. I'm going to link it in the description below if you want to have a little look at that and check out all the lore and all the history of Osahra. It's really interesting and it's a lot of work being put into it. It's very cool, and I think that's why I wanted to put a bit of a Soviet feel to this area too with that building, because it's he's written about the Soviet era within Osahra, which I thought was quite cool. I'm a massive fan of Soviet art and buildings and history and stuff like that, so it's very cool that actually exists within Osahra. So you'll see a little bit of a building that gets plopped down that is very Soviet-esque for, I guess, an Osahrian build, if you must, think of it in that direction. But yeah, what do you reckon so far, Skip? How's it turning out?
Pretty nice. I see you are detailing it quite a lot there, and this makes it look very nice. And I like that you place those overpasses, those overpasses. That's how they are called for people.
That's what we call them. We call them overpasses, but on the workshop, that's called a footbridge, I think.
Okay, footbridge or overpasses. Yeah. Those are pretty interesting. By the way, how is the city working? Since I added all the power and the water for these guys, have you seen it a little bit? Let's say, with more traffic and more people on the roads?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, you've probably noticed that I've kept the game pretty much unpaused the entire time. That's just to get a little bit of the traffic flow going on in the city and watch the population grow. I mean, I've paused it at the moment and you can see we are still at minus growth, but we did have a massive growth in the population and there seems to be a lot more traffic driving around here. So yeah, man, it's worked wonders.
Cool. I was curious. How is it working, if it's for you working as well, because after we did the commentary last week and I watched on the video with you as well, and I saw that somewhere at the end of the video, population dropped with almost 10k, and someone saw it and mentioned it, and I was like, oh shit, damn man, it's not. And I was thinking if it's back on track, but I see it's back on track. The population is back on track.
Yeah, and I also plopped down some residential buildings as well, so people can move in. I do think, I mean, if this has got to be, Skip, the first city I've ever built in that there has actually been an industrial demand.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, well, Springwood is just like all they want is me to build suburbs, whereas Osahra just seems to be we need more industry. So, I might have to divert my attention to the industrial sides of things in the next episode on my channel. I don't know. Do I dare ask what you're gonna get up to in the next episode?
No, don't ask. No, because I haven't thought yet. I have something in my mind, but it's just it doesn't even deserve to be mentioned. So I'm still thinking now, because everyone has to understand it is very, very difficult now to build something let's call it more original and very cool for Osahra as we did before, because we kind of have a lot of things on here in Khanem already, and it's quite hard to find something new, but we will find it eventually, because That's what we do. we keep digging, and plus we take some of your ideas. You mentioned, guys, with to do some embassies, rebel camp, and for rebel camp we still don't have what we need in particular, so we can do it as we want. So maybe that one will be a little bit more postponed. But we will think about it. Yeah. For example, I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if you have all your ideas already in a plan, like a big plan there, scheduled and everything. But for me now, it is a little bit, let's say, maybe not harder, but it is a little bit difficult to mention. Plus, last week I wanted to build something else, and I ended up with a commercial area, which was not bad. So who knows? Who knows what I start building and building something else as well.
To be honest, I think that's the best way to build. I tend to build in that sense too, just off what I'm feeling like. I mean, that's how this financial district happened. So yeah, I'm sure whatever you end up building will be something that I didn't really feel like building, and you would take a big burden off my shoulders. Hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but I just plopped down all these markets around this shorefront on this footpath, and I think that is my favorite addition to this today's build. I mean, don't now just turn off and don't watch the rest of it. The rest of it's still really good, but I think that little part was something that I really enjoyed putting down, because it's just that little bit of detail that makes this area feel very Osahrian. Having these marketplaces all around these areas, I think just is just a cool little addition, and I just really love that effect. I get quite a lot of that in the cinematics, so maybe that'll keep you stuck around for the next couple of minutes as we churn through some residential areas next to this financial district. Right now I've just placed down that Soviet building that I think is quite ugly. When I say ugly, I think it looks damn cool, but it's quite a peculiar shape, and I don't know, it's quite strange, but I love it. I think it's such a cool
building.
I
see here, it looks interesting. I don't know how it looks from a closer perspective, but it looks pretty interesting. Yeah, it is oldish maybe, and a very strange shape, but the texture, I guess, is not bad, right? Or it is bad texture?
No, it's great texture. Great texture. I love it. I think it looks so cool. It's I don't know. I couldn't get away with placing that down in Springwood or in Australia, in my other series, but Osahra, it just fits in just perfectly. So I'm super happy to stick that down. And I'm actually going to start placing down a little less detailed areas. You'll see me kind of just detail this a little bit, but I mean, I do this technique in Springwood a lot as well, where I'll heavily detail a very interesting area, an area that will deserve a lot of attention and plays a big part within the story of Osahra, whereas this little spot here just serves sort of the outskirts of it, but it's still quite an important part, and I still wanted to include it in today's build because I do really like these areas. This area in particular is kind of where the financial district ends, and then suburbs kick back up, or just the sprawlingness of a naturally built city is starts to kind of come up. So we're getting lots of these car parks and smaller residential areas, and probably getting into more suburbs. This hospital, I got rid of it. I noticed I was missing a H and an O. It just said Spittle or something. I don't know if that's on purpose, but I was just looking at it going, what? Like, how are we missing 2 letters from that hospital? So I had to delete it.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, it's a weird color too. It doesn't really, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's pretty old asset in the market. I do remember seeing long time ago.
Yeah,
maybe
me
before
too.
I started doing some Skylines. So yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like ditto. I don't know why I've still got it in that. I don't know. I feel like I download that one every time because I think it's a great asset, but it's not. I think it might be a little bit old. This little area turns out pretty cool. It's just a very old, another little tribute to the Soviet era. These are quite Soviet buildings, but there is a big place for these styled buildings within Osahra. I think both Skiv and I build quite a lot of these styled buildings. there's a car just driving, doing its own
Yeah.
thing. I don't know.
Oh, someone's jumped from the 10th level or something. Yeah.
It was cool because
With
he's
the
actually
car.
got like, I guess the car was driving on a dirt road, but it just looked like it was like had some sort of jet fuel burning behind it. It was, I don't know, it was some sort of Starman or something. It was great.
I think it was $2.20 with his drone.
Yeah.
A strange one, but an Osahrian drone.
Yeah, man, absolutely. There you go, man. I'm also adding in a car park for your for some buildings you built quite a little while ago.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I hate the only thing that I hate of those buildings is that they have an invisible parking area around them, surrounding them, which is very ugly. But maybe now that you use that parking area there, maybe they will stop which I doubt, but maybe they will stop parking around the building.
Yeah. Hey man, hey, that's pretty much it for this episode. It's a little bit shorter than usual, I'm just noticing right now, but guys, thanks for sticking around nonetheless. I did really enjoy building this area, and Skip, thank you so much for joining us again on my channel. It's been great.
Great indeed, man. Great. Bye guys, and see you next time.
Yeah. Have a great week, everyone. Don't forget to hit the subscribe or the like or the whatever buttons, and do the same with Skip's channel. And have a great week. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.